So in this video, we're going to be talking about the top 3 Supreme Court cases that can change the landscape of the Second Amendment going forward. So let's talk about this. But real quick before we jump into this video, if you think it's time for the Supreme Court to once again uphold our right to keep and bear arms, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. So like I said in the intro, in this video, we're going to be talking about the top 3 Supreme Court cases and decisions that gun owners are looking forward to, because if the Supreme Court takes these up, it will change the landscape of the Second Amendment going forward. The 3 issues and cases we'll be talking about are bans on so-called assault weapons, bans on magazines, and concealed carry restrictions. So let's take a look at all these cases, what impacts they will have if the Supreme Court decides to actually issue favorable 2A rulings. The first case we'll be talking about in this video is Bianchi V Frosh, which is a case which deals with Maryland's ban on so-called assault weapons. The state of Maryland identifies certain rifles as so-called assault weapons. Maryland bans the sale, transfer, or possession of semi-automatic centerfire rifles with detachable magazines and 2 offending features, like a folding stock, a grenade launcher, or a flash suppressor. This structure is similar to what you see in states like the state of California, and the state of Maryland does have some workarounds like the heavy barreled rifle rule, but in reality, they still have an assault weapons ban. There's still something on the books, and it's likely only a matter of time before the state decides that they want to plug all of those holes that actually get around their current language. This case, Bianchi, arises out of a challenge to that Maryland ban. In this case, the plaintiffs argue that a prior decision by the Fourth Circuit in a case called Colby was incorrect. In that case, Colby, an en banc panel, found that these types of rifles are outside the protection of the Second Amendment because they are useful in military service. Therefore, they upheld the state's ban. So the Fourth Circuit used a test which was never actually used by the Supreme Court in a case Heller. Instead, they pretty much made up their own test. If the Supreme Court took this case up and issued a pro 2A ruling, this would not only impact the state of Maryland, but also it would impact states like California, who also have bans on so-called assault weapons. Currently, the Miller v. Bolton case is a challenge coming out of the state of California, and it's a challenge in the state of California's ban on so-called assault weapons, and that case is currently held up in the Ninth Circuit. But a favorable ruling in Bianchi would make the state of California's arguments and justifications for their ban essentially moot. We also recently saw, and it was discussed in a prior video that I put out, that the plaintiffs in Miller, who were challenging the state of California's ban on so-called assault weapons, they actually filed an amicus brief in this Bianchi case to the Supreme Court, asking that the Supreme Court needs to hear the Bianchi case because, again, it will actually impact what's going on in other states like California as well. The next issue and case that many are anticipating is a case, again, out of the state of California, and that is the Duncan v. Bolton case. For those of you who are not aware, Duncan v. Bolton, previously known as Duncan v. Becerra, involves the possession of so-called large capacity magazines in California. This law in California was challenged in the Southern District of California, and District Court Judge Roger T. Benitez, or Saint Benitez as he's become known as, issued a ruling that found that this law in California violated the Second Amendment. This led to what was called as Freedom Week in the state of California. During this single week period of time, a lot of people know that magazine restrictions were lifted and millions of magazines were purchased and brought into the state of California by California gun owners. The state of California obviously didn't like that. They didn't like that Benitez ruling. They didn't like losing at the district court level, so they decided to appeal that decision up to the Ninth Circuit. This also resulted in a stay having to be issued by Judge Benitez on his own ruling. Well, on review, a 3-judge panel in the Ninth Circuit reviewed that decision and agreed with Judge Benitez. After that, of course, once again, the state of California didn't even like losing at the Ninth Circuit 3-judge panel level, so they sought a rehearing en banc, which means a review by 11 judges in the Ninth Circuit. The en banc panel heard that case, Duncan, and issued their ruling, finding that California's magazine ban does not violate the Second Amendment. In reaching that decision, they used the Ninth Circuit's flawed 2-step approach and found that under intermediate scrutiny, this law in the state of California banning magazines was constitutional. That therefore leads us to where we're at right now with the plaintiffs in Duncan, filing a petition to the Supreme Court for their review. Now, like I've mentioned, there is another magazine ban case called the A&J RPC case that is also up at the Supreme Court level and is currently on hold. Personally, I think the California magazine ban case is a cleaner case because not only is the ban in California a retrospective ban that also involves government confiscation of magazines, but also because the California ban was found unconstitutional at the district court level and also by a 3-judge panel in the Ninth Circuit. The fact that the en banc panel in the Ninth Circuit found that this type of ban was constitutional is not surprising, especially since 50 times out of 50, the en banc panel in the Ninth Circuit has upheld these types of Second Amendment violations. This case would do 2 very important things and why a lot of people actually really care about this case and want the Supreme Court to take it up. First, it would establish that magazine restrictions are unconstitutional. That is kind of the big impact. The second important thing that this case would do is finally get the Supreme Court to smack down the Ninth Circuit and essentially smack them across the face. The Ninth Circuit has actively denied using the correct type of analysis, and they have even gone as far as to actually state to various attorneys and to also the Supreme Court that they will not change their ways until the Supreme Court actually tells them to stop. And this case would be the perfect opportunity for the Supreme Court to finally get the Ninth Circuit to use the correct type of analysis and tell them to stop violating Second Amendment rights. The final issue and case that, in my opinion, is the most important and most anticipated is the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association v. Bruin case. Now, for those of you who are not aware, New York State Rifle and Pistol Association is a challenge to the state of New York's concealed carry permit requirements. The state of New York requires a person to provide proper cause to be issued a permit to carry concealed. The issue is that the state does not consider self-defense a proper cause, and therefore on that justification alone, people have their permits denied. Essentially, a person has to distinguish themselves from the average person to be granted a permit to carry concealed. So the whole question in this New York State Rifle and Pistol Association case, and the question the Supreme Court is reviewing, is whether the state of New York violated the Second Amendment with their May issue licensing scheme that does not treat self-defense as a sufficient justification for a permit to be granted. If you listen to the oral arguments and kind of hear the chatter revolving around this decision, it appears that the Supreme Court will be actually shooting down the state of New York's May issue scheme. And this will no doubt lead to an important Second Amendment change in 2022. This decision would force every other state that has a May issue licensing scheme to likely have to shift to, at the very least, a shall issue scheme. This would be big for people in restrictive states like California, New York, New Jersey, and others, especially in states like California where it's kind of all over the place. It depends on what county you're in, if your local agency is actually going to issue, and a lot of this can be resolved by this decision in the New York State Rifle and Pistol Association case. To reach their decision, the Supreme Court will likely have to outline the type of analysis that needs to be used in Second Amendment cases. This language in the decision also that is used by the Supreme Court will likely trickle down into all other Second Amendment cases going forward. New York State Rifle and Pistol Association v. Bruin will be one of those landmark cases cited and talked about, similar to how Heller has been cited and talked about, and this will happen for a very long time. So that is why all eyes are on the Supreme Court, who will have to issue the decision this year, which will likely come around May or June. So those are the top 3 cases and issues that gun owners are anticipating this year. 2022 can be one of those really big years for our fundamental rights to keep and bear arms, especially if the Supreme Court decides that they want to address all of these issues, especially these 3 really big ones: bans on so-called assault weapons, bans on so-called large capacity magazines, and also this just restriction on concealed carry. But also, all these cases could likely include language that would help to stop other types of restrictions as well. So if you guys have any questions, go ahead and comment down below and I'll try to answer to the best of my ability. Also, if you like this video and I support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help to fuel the algorithm or fuel Al Gore's rhythm. It adds fuel to his jet, and it signals to YouTube that you guys see value in these videos and in this type of 2A news. Again, I cannot thank you guys enough for everybody who's liked, commented, subscribed, who hits the notification bell, who shares these videos. You guys are directly impacting these videos, impacting this channel, and helping me to reach and educate more people than I could have ever thought. So thank you so much for all of your support. So as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And never forget, this nation was built by armed scholars, and this nation will maintain by armed scholars.